About 2 weeks ago, I came up with this video called Mara to the Moon and TS Greatest Astrology Ever. I have spent a significant amount of time talking about my bullish thesis on Mara in terms of the technical analysis aspect of it. And, I
Meow, meow,
strongly
meow,
encourage you
meow.
to
Everybody, I'm
listen to it.
Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I'm going to go through exactly what I think about Marathon Digital Holdings Mara. I think it's going to the moon. I think a lot of times I show too much data and get people lost.
So I'm not going to play the whole thing, obviously, but I just want to point to this video just 2 weeks ago. And I detailed my bullish thesis on Mara. I just want to show you an update. And I don't generally like to say something to the moon, very likely at all. I think it makes me cringe a little bit to do that. But I really do feel that way, and I really talked for a very long time on Mara in terms of why I think that is. One reason is because the institutional accumulation continues to go up. For the month of May, you continue to have an uptake of institutions coming in as owners for the stock, right? The ownership has gone up from 40% to 43% just over the last month or so. And some of the people buying are actually, they are BlackRock and Vanguard. Like these are actual institutions that are really buying in, right? And if you look at some of the indicators, this is the monthly chart of Mara. Some of the other indicators to see what whales are doing, you have the Black Cat Fund Flow Trend Oscillator, which tells you whether or not there's inflow from institutions in whales. And sure enough, over the last few months, just been nothing but inflows, right? Even though price has gone sideways and even down a little bit, especially for the month of May. Again, you can see an increased inflow here again. The inflow is increasing, right? If you look at the MCDX plus indicator, which also supposed to tell you more about institutions in Wales versus retail, right? There is overall, over the last year or so, there's an increased trend of institutional, accumulation. You do have sometimes with trading, you have some big whales that did end up exiting and end up, being sensitive enough to kind of pick things up over here. But overall, the trend has been going up. And for the month of May, you have reinstituting this increase in whale signal again, right? So you have a confluence of things and indicators telling you that there are a lot more people buying. There's a lot more buying pressure coming in. Sure, the price may not have gone up potentially because of concerns of dilution, or it could just be whales playing tricks and trying to reaccumulate the stock after it accumulated down here is trying to do some reaccumulation up here again, right? It could just be simply whales playing tricks on you. The overall thing though is I do see increase in fund flow. Now, if you look at the MCDX, I can show you different time frames too. Like on the 2 months, it's been going up steadily, right? Whales have not really left the stock. If I go down to lower time frame on 2 weeks, you have really increase in whales coming in again. On the weekly for 2 weeks in a row, you have increase in whales coming in again, right? So all of these are pretty bullish signals. On the 2-day chart, you have increase. On the daily chart, you have increase, right? So overall, there are a lot of these kind of positive signals that I'm seeing over here. If you just look at some of the other indicators I usually look at, I'm just going to go from real quick because I talk them about a lot, and I feel like sometimes I'm kind of repeating myself. You can see that you have bullish Tenkan Kijun cross here on the monthly Ichimoku cloud, and price had made its way back above. And again, this candle is not closed yet, right? Because the month of May is not over yet, but price seemed to have made its way back above the Tenkan Kijun. Yes, potentially flip it from resistance over here, hopefully back into support, right? If it's able to do that and find some solid grounding, the next thing it's going to do is probably going to challenge the cloud above around the low 30s, potentially even the high 30s, potentially even the low 40s, right? That's kind of what it's seeing over here on the monthly Ichimoku cloud. On the 2 week Ichimoku cloud, it's just kind of been inside, right? And if you look at the Subaichi cloud, so far it's just been ranging between the top of the Subaichi cloud and the Kijun line down here. You had a bullish cross over here that is still remaining bullish on this time frame of this 2 week chart. So far it's just been ranging, and there's a lot of increasing buying pressure from whales, right? We know what's going to happen after that. Probably going to end up pushing price higher. On the weekly, you can see the buying pressure, buying volume goes up, selling volume goes down, buy up, sell down, right? So far, you have a little bit of, kind of like a little bit of exhaustion here in terms of sellers, and the buying volume over the last couple of weeks has kind of uptick here a little bit too, right? So overall, it seems like it's doing some pretty decent things here. Now, if I just gonna go ahead and hide some of the other things I want to show you here. Basically, what Price has been doing is pretty clear in terms of what Mara is doing. It's just like Bitfarm's just been bouncing between the 0.8382 and 0.136, right, up and down, right, at the bottom of the range with a hammer candle. Guess what you should do? You should buy at the bottom of the range, right? Traders are buying, institutions are buying, so it's going to end up putting a lot more pressure for it to go up, right? And also, in addition to that, at the bottom of the range over here at 0.136 over here, also is confluent with this arc down here too. So it kind of get closer to the arc over here bounced, and it's ready to potentially go up again here. Couple of things too. I mean, like all this down here is a very, very strong confluence of support zone over here. If you look at the volume shelf, you can see that basically price just been stuck in this big giant volume shelf over here, right? And if you don't do the volume shelf, you just look from the cycle low over here and do the volume weighted average price, you can see that price is bounced from this as support, right? So you have a lot of confluence of support over here, and because of that, price end up getting some pretty good reaction and is bouncing up from that area, right? And so far, if you look at the momentum indicators like RSI, things like that, initially had a little bit of a bearish divergence. All those things have already been played out. Right now, the RSI is very, very nicely set low, but it's trending up, and is getting some pretty bullish signal here for price to potentially continue to go a lot higher. And if you also look at the monthly RSI too, like nothing is really overbought yet. Not like last cycle, right? Like it's far from being overbought. There's probably still a lot more room for it to kind of go up higher afterwards, right? 2 weeks, same thing. Things got maybe a little bit closer, getting overheated, cool down. Right now, it's actually found some pretty good support over here, and you have really significant cool down. RSI is ready to go up again. This time when it goes up, it can get overheated. It can get really overheated. What are some of the potential price target that it could hit? Right? If you look at the Fibonacci level, if you also look at the monthly Ichimoku cloud over here too, right? I was talking about how there's a confluence of this Fib level here, 0.5 around low 40s. It's also the top of the Ichimoku cloud over here, so that could be potentially a strong resistance level over here. If it mix above that, there's a 0.618 level over here around $50 that also is confluent with this horizontal resistance zone over here that also serves as resistance zone over in the last cycle, right? That could also be potential strong resistance. But if you get above that, you're really talking about challenging the previous all-time high, as well as challenging the top, the arc over here, the bottom arc over here around the 130s, or even the top of the arc over here, around perhaps even 200, right? But there's a lot of resistance to potentially push through. You might have over the next 12 to 18 months, depending on how long the Bitcoin bull cycle lasts. But if it given enough time, given enough power to kind of get over these resistance levels over here, it could potentially hit some of the higher targets up here. That's always a possibility, right? I do think that this whole thing right here so far has been wave one, right? And so far we're going through a little bit of a expanded flat, expanded flat correction of wave two, kind of like what Bitfarm is doing. So this whole thing right here could be wave two. Wave three could be coming, and wave three could be the strongest out of them all. So the impulsive rate, the impulsive one still hasn't really come quite just yet, potentially, right? If you also look at the Bollinger Band in terms of what it's trying to do, well, it's just trying to stretch it out a little bit more. The 20-month moving average is pointing up. This is still a bull trend, right? You have some initial stretching of the Bollinger Band, you have some initial expansion, but it needed to cool down sideways because it's just way too far, way too fast. After this cool down, I think that the top of the upper Bollinger Band here is going to serve as a magnet to continue to allow price to go up a lot higher. I can see potentially when things get really heated on Mara, you can really get Bollinger expansion and price can go up, pretty significantly over the next half year to a year. I can see that happening, and it would be crazy to think about for a lot of people. For me, it's not that crazy at all. I also don't expect this move to happen. I also think that this move is likely to happen, but again, things happen, right? They don't always have to play out the way I think. But so far, I still see this as a bull trend, and I still see this as a beginning to mid part of the bull trend. And I still think that we may have some runway here for Mara. Anyway, this is just a quick update. Last less than 10 minutes, hopefully. Have a good one. Bye.